Deities, it's Monday the 22nd of June. Thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to episode 8, which will be with goddess Emily, aka Calderwood Illustrations. Emily is a Glasgow-based artist, illustrator, politics made pink socialist, creating political art. I've pinned Emily's Linktree in the comments section, where you'll find lots of links to many of the things that Emily deeply cares about, and also the link to her Etsy. So make sure you follow the link and make sure you're following Emily if you haven't already followed her. And also thank you to everyone who tuned into the episode with Clara, aka Rolling Funky, which is now up on IGTV, and both of these interviews will be coming soon to my YouTube channel. In case this is your first time tuning in, I'm Ada. I create avant-garde spiritual kink, and my message is to harness the power of your inner warrior deity, recognizing the universe in yourself, whether that is a goddess, god, or non-binary spirit. And I create with a queer sex, body positive, femme perspective on fetish and BDSM. We are going to pretty much dive straight in today. But please do check out the front page of my website and also posts and stories. And also please have a look at the links below all of the videos that I'm posting from this series on YouTube, because I put lots of extra links in the notes to everything that my guests have been sharing with us. And so there's a lot of really great links and resources there. Yeah, and I very much hope that I will see some of you wonderful deities this weekend at the peaceful protest for Black Trans Lives Matter this Saturday the 27th, of course at a safely and socially safe distances, and bring water and masks and flowers and love, and that's what we need to show up with. So this series will be coming to you every Monday from this account, Zanditon Couture, and then sharing on YouTube and also on the Insta account Fashion Unfucked. I'm very much hoping that Emily will join us. I'll see if I can add. So hopefully we'll be speaking to her very soon. Hope everyone's having a lovely start. Oh, hello!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.
So thank you so much for doing this, Emily. It's really great to actually talk to you, because I haven't ever met you in real life. I know you through your work on Instagram and through finding you from Monroe's profile.
Yeah.
So first of all, before we get stuck into like the big weighty subjects, I'd love to know, when did your love of drawing begin and your love of illustration begin?
Something I've pretty much been into like my whole life. My mum always encouraged me to draw. She always gave me like art stuff when I was really young. And then as I got into like secondary school, so when I was about 12, 13, I started drawing like portraiture, and yeah, just like, I don't know, just kind of, that's what I always felt I enjoyed the most. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was probably
a bit drawn to. Sorry for the pun. That was terrible. I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, that is always like, that was always your passion that you wanted to follow. And when did you start combining all of these, like your politics and your when did you start combining all of that with your art?
It was probably when I was about maybe 14, 15, and well, I'm not strictly vegan anymore, but I used to be vegan, and I was a vegan activist.
Yeah.
So I started trying to add like animal rights activism into my art, because I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't know how else to, so I started making art about animal rights, and then that kind of stemmed onto, well, I was a massive feminist, so I thought, well, I could make feminist art, and then it just kind of kept rolling, and everything that I ever think is now a piece of art.
Yeah, and it's now, you know, and when did you decide, like, and I know this might sound silly because everyone posts everything on Instagram these days, but when did you sort of, you know, create your, you know, the profile, and when do you feel like it sort of became a conduit for you to like add that onto Instagram, and what's it been like to see how people respond to that?
Yeah, no, it's been, especially recently, it's been amazing seeing like how many people actually think the same things, and like are reading my post and going, yeah, that's what I think. Oh, that's how I wanted to put it. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness someone else is out there like thinking what I think. And it just yeah, it's been recent that that's been happening more, but it has always been there. But since Monroe's post that she shared on
Right.
that it's really kind of kicked off. So that was about 2 months ago now,
Oh
which has
well,
been
so this
amazing.
is like have been, yeah, quite an, like, I mean, it's been such an intense time for everyone in so
Yeah.
many ways, and it's really hard because on one hand, like, we all absolutely can say of this time that it's, you know, utterly tragic, like everything that's been happening, but also it has given people a lot of time to look and reflect and think,
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
it's it's just been so, it's so hard because you can't say, oh, it's been great, we've had time to do this, but then
Yeah,
at the same time, like, people have had time to think in ways that they haven't had time
yeah,
to think.
definitely.
Yeah. No, sorry, that was just like a thought, but and so we're like coming back before again, like coming back to your, to the sort of aesthetic side of your art
Mhm.
for a minute before we go deeper. Which artists and illustrators have inspired you, and what mediums do you use, and sort of like if you can just tell us a bit more about like the physical process of creating
Yeah.
your art.
So I was actually, I've always just drawn on paper with pens and sometimes paint. But recently it's been, I got an iPad. I bought myself a Christmas present, got myself an iPad, and thought, yeah, I'm going to start doing this so that I could really make good, high quality designs for t-shirts and tote bags and stuff, like that. Um, so I work all digitally now. I don't think I've drawn something on paper in about 3 months or something. I don't know if I can still draw on paper, but it's mainly digitally now. I
Yeah.
still like, I'll doodle or whatever, but yeah, it's all digital, all the stuff that I post. And artists that maybe inspire me would, well, with the whole making everything pink and pretty looking, even though I'm talking about really kind of, sometimes I'm talking about quite hard topics, but it's pink and you can look at it. And I followed Elizabeth Wibley for, I don't even know how many years now, but I've always been really inspired by how like pink and positive it is. But then she'll come onto her story sometimes and be like, right, this has just happened and I need to get this out of my system and talk to you about it. But she's still, her whole background's pink and colourful and she's all like pink, and I thought that's kind of, that's me. That's how I want to be.
Yeah,
So
I completely relate to that because I think, yeah, I totally connect with that. Something I sort of have found tricky with, so like, you know, for example, the feminism, I think that I first encountered when I was growing up, and or like the feminists from like my mum's generation were
mhm.
like the burn your bra kind
Yeah,
of feminism, and then sort of second wave, third wave, all these different kind of waves of feminism. But like, you know, it's so hard because like when you're trying to redress the balance of something, there's, it's sort of like the meter has to go so far in one direction before
yeah,
we're able to come back to the place where we're actually like, but I like pink and I
yeah,
like everything
yeah,
that glitters as well.
yeah,
And how do, you know, we like create a world where all of that can coexist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and which activists have inspired you? And is there anyone who's actually in politics who inspires you, or do you feel that there is a big vacuum there?
Yeah, so activist wise, people that inspire me who I've followed for probably years now has been Florence Given has been a massive inspiration for like feminism for me. She's kind of, her platform is one of the things that made me push my feminism, and like I like learn about other intersections, and I learned a lot about intersectional feminism from her. And also I think it was actually through her account as well that I started finding other activists, because I didn't really know how to go about when I must have been about 16 I think when I started following her, and I didn't know how to go about getting people that I wanted to follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
But people like Munro Bergdorf and like Gina Martin, Africa Brooke, all these people, I think I just follow such like a diverse range of activists because I want to learn about as much as possible, like all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not just always like a feminist activist. It's not, even though they are all probably feminists, it's like it's not just about feminism. It's not just about race or whatever. It's about like I follow as much as possible type thing. Politicians wise, I'm very skeptical about actual politicians. There's obviously ones that I'm like, well, they're probably doing the better job, but at the end of the day, if they turn around and disappoint me, I'm not gonna be surprised probably. So it's really just the actions of politicians that inspire me to make the art, as opposed to the politicians themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's completely understandable. I feel like that makes so much sense because like we're currently experiencing all of the failings of the political establishment and capitalism, and really we're seeing like the failing of patriarchy, and like the fact that even these systems that they want to uphold, like white supremacy and all of those things, are actually also failing those people too.
Yeah.
And it's so yeah, it's such an intense time because everyone who's been othered, you know, leading to like the Black Lives Matter movement, pride, environmentalism, fast fashion, like all of these issues that we care about, they're actually really connected. And I find it really interesting and inspiring the way that you sort of connect all of these issues like through your art.
Yeah.
And like you said, you want to learn about all of these things all the time, but it can also be really overwhelming learning about so many different things.
Definitely.
So I was wondering, how do you balance like learning about all of these different subjects and bringing them into your art, and then how do you balance that with like just everyday life?
Yeah. So I tend to there was a time during the past couple of months where I was pretty much on Instagram and on Facebook like all day for about 2 weeks straight, and obviously it wasn't doing me any good. I was learning a lot and I was having a lot of arguments, which was not helping anyone. But at the end of like, I think it was about 2 weeks, at the end of it, I was like, oh, like I can't even think about anything, never mind the things that I wanted to talk about. So for the past maybe a month or so, I've been really trying to like, I'll go on Instagram, I'll give a bit of time in the morning before I go on Instagram because I don't want to like bombard myself with information when I first wake up, and I try and stay off it just before I go to sleep. And then throughout the day I've been, so my boyfriend and I we've just came to stay with my mum and my little brother just now because it's almost his birthday. So we wanted to be with him. And they have a garden, which we usually stay in the flat, so we don't have a garden. So we've been out pretty much like every single day in the garden, just playing like ball games and stuff, like just little things like that, just to like take your mind off it. Like go a walk and leave your phone, go a walk and like actually engage with what's going on. Don't take your phone. It might be nice to take a picture, but like just leave it, because you're so tempted. I feel like anyway when I'm walking about, I'm still tempted to just like lift my phone out of my pocket and like have a little look and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like building balance into all of this.
Yeah.
But and very much like every time I'm talking about this with anyone, I just feel like what we're all saying is that to sustain it, and I think that previously that's, you know, been hard, is that we really have to see it as a sort of marathon rather than a sprint.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's building that like us time into it
Yeah.
that's so important. And are there any like subjects that you haven't created art about yet that you're like interested in learning more about?
Yeah. So it's things, I'm not sure if there's anything that I like don't know enough about to make art about yet. Like I think I've kind of touched everything that I like kind of want to. But fast fashion has always been something that I've wanted to make art about and just I haven't. I've always shared other people's artwork like onto my stories and stuff. But I tried making artwork about it before and it just like I didn't have an idea and I just wasn't feeling it. Like I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to make it an art.
Yeah.
So, but I've been watching a lot of kind of documentaries and reading a lot of stuff about like environmental racism and racism within the fast fashion industry. So it's inspiring me more now to make a post about it because it's tying in with other things that I'm talking about, and it's something that people don't tend to think about when they think about even racism or even feminism, is where they get their clothes from and all this kind of stuff, like if it's ethical or if it's like, you know what I mean?
It's so connected, and it's interesting because when I started out in fashion in 2009, I was trying to do eco-friendly ready to wear, and it was very challenging because at the time people were just confused
Yeah,
about what I was doing, and you know, it was really hard. I do feel like people know a lot more and care a lot more now
yeah,
than
definitely
ever
they do.
before, which is great. But I absolutely agree with you that it is all connected, and and like I said, it's like it's absolutely everything that's other. It's actually all so connected, and
Yeah,
that's why I think it's so good that your art sort of covers so many of the topics and
yeah,
shows how it's connected. But I can also understand it's not always easy to sort of think of the right image to convey the meaning.
yeah, yeah.
But where does your like aside from the, you know, the meaning, which is obviously such an important part of what you're doing, but you know, the use of color and the sort of psychedelic kind of imagery, where does that like come from in your work?
Yeah, so I've always been very into kind of like 70s vibes, and like I like lots of like, even though I love pink, I really like oranges and yellows, and I feel like if you combine the orange, the yellow, and the pink, you get quite a good color palette for the 70s, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And it's that's kind of think where the kind of psychedelic kind of stuff comes from, like the stripes and um, that kind of,
Bubbly letters.
yeah, that kind of,
Yeah.
it's like kind of fun and like, I don't know, I just feel like it's quite approachable. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but like
Yeah,
you
that's a
look
good
at it and you
word.
think, yeah, no, I can read that. I can engage with this. It looks nice. So I feel like that's kind of where that's came from. But I've always been very into kind of 70s looks, like fashion wise and makeup. So it's just kind of, I think it
I
was kind of
quite
like a
like,
natural.
yeah, I quite like that because it's sort of like something that capitalism is quite guilty of, is sort of dressing things up and co-opting them. But I quite like the idea that we can create dissent and
Yeah,
political art by doing exactly the same thing back
yeah,
to the system. So I
yeah.
think that's great. Um, I'd love to talk more about your latest posts on the male gaze,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I'm someone who's involved with kink and BDSM.
Yeah,
And so, and the other thing I really love about your bio is that it's very clear. your politics are so clear. You're like, no, you know, transphobic people, no, you're all for feminism that includes sex workers and isn't excluding of that, which I think is fantastic. Especially, you know, because I'm bi and very sex positive person, and but it is very hard, like, because it is so complex, like bringing those subjects together, because, you know, as much as I as myself want to create like kink that has that perspective, it's also completely impossible for me to deny where a lot of that stuff comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's tricky because as well. That's another thing that I thought a lot about when I was like looking through Florence Given's art account. And one of our pieces says, like, how much of my femininity is like me and how much of it is like pandering to the patriarchy. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to think about that. but
it's
really
so important to think about it as well.
Especially with things like sex positivity and like with kink and BDSM. It's like, do you, like, really think about it. Do you want to, or is it because you feel you have to? And then if you do want to, go for it, but know that men are probably still going to want to just look at it.
It's very true, and it's something that, but then something that I also love is, like, you know, I have customers who are in lesbian relationships who are lesbians, and then and they want stuff that's just as kinky as like everyone else. And so and then that's quite fascinating as well, because that's like, okay, so this is, you know, whatever, it's not, there are no heterosexual cis men in this relationship, but yet they also, so I think it's really interesting when we're exploring that world to think, like you said, to think about where it's really coming from. But your posts that are about you know, fuck the male gaze, and I think, it's absolutely a message that we need. So what inspired that post?
So there was a lot of kind of Glasgow artists and tattoo artists that were coming to light that they were like being abusive towards young girls and women, and non-binary people as well. And it just all kept coming out. Like, there was just so many stories where it was like I was following all these people and didn't know anything about what was going on. Nobody had like it had never been apparent to me before. And then I started messaging people who, once it was all coming out, who were also following them, being like, listen, this has just come out. You might want to check it out because I know that you would be against that. And they were going, oh, I've heard whispers. I've heard this, that, and the next thing. I've heard somebody say this. And I'm like, you heard about it and you still haven't, like, how normal is it that we hear like, oh, they're a bit of a creep. They're a bit of like, and we just go, oh, that's just who they are. That's just what it is type thing. And I was like, this is just like, it's so prevalent in like normal society, never mind the art community or the
even after like Harvey Weinstein is now in jail, like we still, it still hasn't removed the problem. And so absolutely, it's like a sort of that a little bit like, you know, the whole Me Too movement. The thing that worried me about it was, like, I hope they don't lock up this one guy and think we solved things. And it's sort of like, it's great to like we have to keep that message going and not just think it's only like people in Hollywood or this person over here. It's like, now to keep going, because it's like, just like racism, it's like absolutely everywhere in our society.
Yeah, definitely.
So another thing I wondered, like, have you been, so are you studying at the moment, or have you graduated, or what are you doing in life, Emily? Tell us.
I'm actually just working at, well, I'm not working right now, but I'm working usually.
Yeah.
I was at uni, started in September at Dundee for art. And I just didn't like it. I liked the city, Dundee, and I'm sure that the course is amazing for other people. Like, I've seen what it produces. Like, everybody loves the course. But me personally, I'm really terrible. I've always been really terrible for, I love art, but as soon as somebody tells me do this, I'm like, no. As soon as, like, I was a whole throughout high school where if a teacher told me, like, oh, why don't you try and add this to it? I'd be like, no, I like it the way it is. I'll just keep it like that. And I'm quite stubborn when it comes to not wanting to change.
Stubborn, or you know what you want.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But
I think knowing what we want is great.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. So I think it was just mainly that, and it was like I basically went from living with my mum and my little brother to just moving like however many miles away, and it was like a train and a bus to get, and it was like a long train journey and a long bus journey to get back home, and it was just wasn't for me really. So I dropped out because in Scotland you get your 6 free years of education,
right?
So I didn't want to waste it. So I thought I'm going to drop out straight away so that I can still have my 6 free years of education.
Yeah.
And then I can start something else. But I've been actually looking into, which is another reason why I posted about the male gaze the other day, was I've been looking into like an art history degree.
Yeah.
Because I would love to learn more about like the history of art and the history of like, because like feminism in art has always been there.
Yeah.
And like the kind of misogyny in art has always been there, and I would love to see like how all that came about.
That's so interesting that you said that, because something that your post reminded me of was that when I was studying fashion at London College of Fashion, one of the things that we learnt about in critical studies, which is, you know, the fashion history part of our course, was the great masculine renunciation. So
yes,
yeah, the period of time. And and you know, we learned all about, like, before the Industrial Revolution, men wore pink and satin, and like their gaze was very much on men, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we go back to that? That sounds great. Like,
yeah. Oh, definitely.
Except not back to that, because obviously many wrong things also. But just like you know, so many questions. But I absolutely like what you're saying about, you know, art history and really understanding the context, because your work seems to flourish from like having like really thought about all of these different topics.
Yeah.
So much sense. But yeah, can you imagine what that was like when men, you know, pink was a masculine color?
I know. I even actually, I work as a stylist for, I'm a visual merchandiser, and I'm like trying to dress, I try and dress male mannequins, and my like the kind of colleagues and my supervisors and stuff will kind of be like, would you put a pink jumper on a man? And I'm like, yeah.
Yes, why not?
Like, why not? Just he looks nice, he looks professional, like, come on. But
and the thing that's so, like, couple of things so fascinating, like when, because you know, when you get to like the very, very corporate city people, there is a certain type of guy who works in the city who's like the biggest dick swinging kind of lad, who is the one who will be wearing the pink shirt in the office. What's up with that?
I know. It's like, it's such a strange culture, because nobody is going to say something to him.
Oh,
but if it was a man who
unfrozen.
Oh, like nobody would say anything to him. But if it was a man who they could have think like, maybe they're gay, maybe they're like, maybe they aren't just like a cisgender man, like they would say something. But when it's like someone they know is a cis male who is burly and but also wearing a pink shirt. Like, they're not going to say anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like we've got, you know, how do we, it's so interesting, like how do we use art, how do we actually try to use creativity to undo these things? Do you think it's actually possible to use the creative industry to do some of this work, or do you think that the creative industries need to really still have a lot of change to do in order to like be part of the solution?
Yeah, I think it's more, it's a bit of both, I think, because I feel like thinking of like my job as a stylist, I'm thinking there's probably still quite a long way to go for most shops to kind of bring in a more like boys wearing pink and like kind of making everything less gendered kind of way. I think there is still quite a long way to go, but being in the job that I'm in, see if I can prove that a man out there has worn a pink jumper, then I can say, well, look, this is why I done it. And then they go, oh, okay, right, well, I can't say no then. And so if more people were like that and more people were doing that, then yeah, it could totally lead the way. And especially, yeah, like with art as well, like I try and make my illustrations of, I usually draw like women or femmes, but I try and make them as like diverse as possible, even down to clothing. Like they don't just wear just like a plain top. They'll maybe wear something a bit more like sexual, like kind of like almost like see what's in the background of what you're wearing. Yeah, yeah. That's a good thing on a mannequin. That's kind of like something that I would try and put on one of my illustrations. But then I would also put something on an illustration that's like the total opposite, because it's like it's just kind of about like someone will see it and they'll read the message and go, oh, that's a cool message, and then go, oh, what are they wearing? Like it's just like an extra layer to it.
Totally. And something I think that's been really interesting for me to see as someone who makes harnesses is you know, when they get lent out for editorial, something I noticed happening more and more is people layering the harnesses over like quite baggy clothing.
Yeah.
And then you've got, you know, singers like Billie Eilish wearing, you know, not wearing stuff that shows off like her figure, and it's really interesting to see like what will sexuality look like and what will our desires look like when we're not performing them for just a male cis audience. Like what will that look like?
I think that is quite like, it's something that I try and think about whenever I'm getting dressed. Is like I'll put it on and I'll kind of like look in front of the mirror, and you know, you catch yourself kind of like posing, and then you're like, wait, why am I posing? And then I'm like, right, okay, do I like what I'm wearing, or do I think people are going to like what I'm wearing?
Yeah.
So I like sometimes as well, like I really just try and force myself sometimes, but I'll be like, I'll just put on something really random and just walk out the house and be like, right, well, I was comfortable when I left the house, so if I'm not comfortable outside, that's not a me problem. That's everybody else giving me these weird looks and me being like, oh no. So I need to, I feel like it's something that we all need to kind of work on, with like being like, what are you wearing and who are you wearing it for?
Yeah, so. I feel like that's a very good point. And the other thing I like about design, something I always loved, like again from studying design to working in it, is we're all involved in this business of glamour, but yet most designers, what they're wearing when they work is like a t-shirt and jeans, like no makeup, just pajamas, like really. And it's so funny because like you know, you come into a fashion studio and a lot of the time the people who are like maker designers, like, you know, are the most casual, like least glammed up people. Of course, they've made an effort for the Instagram live. But
See, that's another good point. I was going to make like an effort, and I was going to put the makeup on and like put something else on.
Such a problematic way of talking about it, isn't it?
Yeah, but then I was sitting thinking about it, and I was putting my dinner on, and I thought, right, I'll put some makeup on, and I was like, no, I just want to sit down and have a cup of tea while my dinner's getting ready. So I thought, no, I'm not doing that, and I'll go on the Instagram live with no makeup on and just a white t-shirt on. That's what's going to happen.
And I think it's so important that we get to the place in life and in this world where everyone can do what they feel comfortable doing, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And that, I hope that that's what like feminism and all of the things that we want to achieve can be. It's like it should be like an acknowledging difference instead of trying to sort of pretend the differences aren't there, but like
Yeah.
celebrating each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Is there anything that you would like to tell everyone about or share with anyone, with everyone, whilst we're that you've like planning to do or working on, or things that you want people to support?
Yeah, so the things that I've been thinking about most, like business wise, recently is like getting new t-shirt designs out. Maybe getting coloured t-shirts out as well, which would be nice because I'd like a little pink t-shirt with something on it or something like
Yeah.
something just a wee bit more interesting. So that's kind of what I've been working on lately, is t-shirt designs and all that kind of goodness.
Yeah.
And trying
Have
to
you
get my
found
Etsy.
people to make the t-shirts, or?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a brilliant studio in Glasgow for women and non-binary people. Basically people who are at like have a marginalised identity.
Yeah.
And it's all like vegan inks, and it's sustainable. I think it's climate neutral is what it says on the tag.
Yeah.
For all the clothing, it's all you can like go onto the website and stuff, and you can see where it's all from and who's making it, and it's just like it's a really lovely place, and it's all run by women feminists. It's just a great place to kind of.
Awesome. So you're going to be creating some t-shirts.
Yeah, so
Brilliant.
that's the idea.
Excellent. And will those be on your Etsy?
Yeah.
Should everyone look on Etsy to find them?
Yes, I'm gonna make some kind of like mock-ups, I think, tonight, and just see like what would look good, and maybe post a few and just see, like, gauge interest, and
Yeah.
what would be able to be sold, and might just make a few for myself as well. And I was looking as well, I've been speaking to some friends about getting like a little photo shoot done after lockdown's lifted, and we can all go out and take photos of each other in pretty clothing, and get a few of my friends involved, and try and get like just some kind of Glasgow people, if like if anybody wants to be involved, and get like, I don't know, a half price t-shirt or something, I don't know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like yeah. I imagine that not just people in Glasgow would want to be involved. I imagine that there's a lot of people following you now on Instagram who'd love to, collaborate with you.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be something that I'd be quite interested in at some point as well, as collaborating with people from not just my friends group.
Yeah.
And seeing people from over the world.
Sorry. No, absolutely, and I definitely think that is gonna happen, and it's, I mean, for all of the sort of really hard things that we've all been through this year, it is also lovely, like, and inspiring to see you creating your art and like putting so much awesomeness out there. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
So I guess like the last possible question, I mean, not possible, but the very last question would be, is like, do you have any kind of meditation, spiritual kind of practice, or anything that you do aside from the time spent in the garden and putting the phone down? Is there anything that you do to sort of connect to a sense of like the universe beyond people, and like, could you share that with us?
Yeah, so it's always something that I've been really interested in. I've done my like main exercise, so I don't really exercise, but I like doing yoga. Because
yoga's exercise, or it's
because that's it's a way of making me, like, I can move my body and feel good, but it also makes me feel connected to, I always feel like I feel really like super connected to like the ground, and like I feel like things that when you hear them say it in the video it makes sense, and then when you try and repeat it it's like you sound a little bit weird because they try and tell you to like picture like balls of light in your palms, and that's what you're pushing and pulling, and I'm like, I can totally feel it, but then I stop doing it and I'm like, could I feel that, or was that
I totally I mean, I'm down with creating chi balls. I think they work.
Yeah, I think it works too. Like I personally, I do that, and I've been reading a lot into Wicca and like witchcraft and stuff, and
oh cool.
yeah, it's been something that I'm not I've never really been one for like religion, but spirituality has always been like really interesting to me. It's always been something that like I've been like obsessed with astrology and like Roman and Greek gods and goddesses since I was about 8, and I found a book that my mum had about astrology, and I was like, oh, this is magical. So it's always been something that has been really like interesting to me, and I feel like even if I don't maybe like, because obviously Wicca is a religion, even if I don't become a Wiccan, I like reading about it and learning about it, and I have loads of like crystals, and I've got like moon water and all this stuff, and I like the idea of creating spells in the way of like directing your energies and that kind of
I think
vibes and stuff.
absolutely. I think all of it is whatever it is that we do, whether it's religion or crystals or Wicca, it's all about devices really that help us just connect with the bigger picture and the things that are bigger than us, and it's, you know, and I really, it's nice to see so many people do it in so many different ways, and again it's like, let's celebrate the fact that we do that rather than letting it be another thing that divides us, like
definitely.
Emily, this has been so lovely, but
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I really hope everyone will go and check out your Linktree and your fabulous Etsy shop and follow you and your amazing art. And have a lovely, gorgeous evening and a beautiful week. And hopefully everyone will tune in again next week when we'll have more episodes of MonDeities.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.